Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Mind Out, Mind Up. My name is Asia Branch, and so for the next few episodes, I am going to be talking about Black America, us Black folk. Okay, it's why this episode is called Just Because You're Black. I think it's time that instead of me doing little videos here and there talking about my issues with Black America, that I would dedicate an entire week of episodes to my issues with Black America, especially due to what's happened in current events between Biden and the George Floyd riots. There's a lot that needs to be said. It just does. Specifically about how I feel about Black Americans being used and provoked, and how this has resulted in not just, the riots, right? But it's not something that's just started. It's what they've been doing for God knows how long. And by they, I mean the left, Democrats, whatever you want to call them. They've been doing this for a long time now. I want to say since maybe the 60s, because that's when Black folks started to abandon their own values that made them better than what the hell we are today. That is a problem. Our behavior is a serious, serious problem. But before I even go into that, there's a couple of things that I needed to say. I was just, I started a business and I was working with another host that would be joining Mustard Seed TV. And, for his preview, we were having a conversation about Biden and what he recently said. And I don't remember it word for word, but I know it being along the lines of, you're not Black if you vote for Trump, that whole thing. And the person that I was working with, you guys are going to get to know, he was talking about how he thought it was funny and how he thinks Biden needs to be that way all the time. I took issue with what Biden said. You're not Black if you vote Trump. In other words, you're not Black if you behave the way he expects you to behave. I'm sorry, but my whole life, I've been hearing that kind of an insult, right? That I'm an Oreo, that I'm not really Black, that I'm white on the inside because of what? Because I carry myself well. I carry myself with respect, self-respect. I respect my elders. I speak properly. I don't go out there and act in a damn fool, right? I represent the best of how my parents raised me to be. I don't go out there thugging out or thotting out, hoeing out, getting pregnant before I'm 20 years old, using abortion like it's a form of birth control. I'm not what's expected of Black women. So am I not Black? I'm not behaving the way that's expected, right? I'm a Black woman who's conservative. I'm not behaving the way that's expected of Black people. I don't do that. I carry myself differently. I share different values. I remember in my preview that I had posted a few weeks back, I had said that people assume, Black people specifically, assume because you're Black, you're supposed to, get along with other Black people. But for a Black woman like me, who for her entire life never really fit in to Black America, I was never behaving the way Black America was, right? I was raised with a certain kind of old school principles that boomers were given, right? Discipline is not the enemy of enthusiasm, right? That was in my household. It was in my parents' household when they were coming up. It's old school values that made sure that I carried myself well, that I spoke properly. But because I behaved this way, I'm not actually Black. I'm supposed to be a white girl. I'm an Oreo. Screw that ideology. Screw that sentiment. And that's why the hell with Joe Biden in his statement. Just because I don't vote the way you expect me to, I'm not Black. Because I don't behave the way it's expected, I'm not Black. I'm over that insult. I got it my entire life. And this is what I was explaining to our new host that you guys will get to know, that this was an insult my entire life. And I know I'm not the only Black woman who went through that growing up. Like, if you spoke properly or were raised right, or you weren't out there hoeing out, or you weren't boy crazy, also known as dick-stracted, if you weren't that, then you're not supposed to be Black. That's a bunch of hogwash. It's a load, it's insulting, and it's simple-minded thinking. And for you Black people who agree with that sentiment, well, the only reason why you agree with that sentiment is because you behave the way they expect you to behave. And that is the biggest problem, is that you behave the way that is expected of you. You behave that way. That's why they're able to invoke all of this violence, to provoke you to make irrational, violent, emotional decisions. What Biden said, though insulting, Gosh, he pointed out something really significant, and he might have done it by accident. You know, his whole campaign, we've been watching him fall apart, gas everywhere here and there. But maybe he actually by accident exposed the true sentiment of the Democratic Party, of the establishment of the Democratic Party, right? Because not average thinking Democrats agree with him. Not all of them, but I'm sure some of them do, but not all of them do. But why are black people okay with what he said? Why are there some black folks who are supporting what he said, who thinks, it was as blunt as what Trump said. Trump said, what do you have to lose? How does that equate to what Biden said? That comparison was already too much for me. Trump asked a valid question. Biden characterized a race of which he knows nothing about. Experience that he has never witnessed or experienced for himself. The hell with his opinion when it comes to how black people should behave. You're an old white man whose best friend coming up in the 70s was fucking segregationist. But I'm supposed to listen to you about how to be black. I don't even listen to the black elitists on how to be black. Why? Because they promote promiscuity and violence. I don't even listen to black cultural elitists. I don't listen to Al Sharptons of the world. I don't listen to the Jay-Z and the Beyoncés of the world or the T.I.s of the world. Why? Because you encourage the worst of America, the worst of black America specifically. And I say this over and over again. One of my episodes, you can find it on YouTube. I did a whole episode about blood money. Right? This is an episode about hip hop, about how that genre just makes money off the hardships of black America. And those are the same people that we celebrate and idolize and want to be like, but they're criminal. And they encourage the worst of black America. And that's why we have people who are celebrating Biden, because he's basically saying it in another way of what these black elites want you to do, how to behave. But they're not the ones going out there acting a damn fool, are they? No, they got the money to fight back on any issue that they choose to, like getting an attorney. They can afford that anytime they get into trouble. Can you, the average black man who live in the hood, afford an attorney? No, you can't. But you're going to listen to T.I. when he says go out there and protest. You're going to listen to Biden. You're going to take a old white man's opinion on how to be black when you've been black your whole life. What is the matter with you black people? Because now I'm angry with you. We can't control the world around us, but we damn sure can control our reactions to things. And that brings me to the George Floyd riots, because that's what they are. They are not protests. They are riots. Protests is what people who are standing up against the, stay-at-home orders were doing, right? That's a peaceful protest. Doing it from your car and honking your horns. Standing on the side of the road with signs asking for people to honk in support for your protest. That's a peaceful protest. What these assholes were doing in Minnesota, Minneapolis, what's been happening across the country here in New Jersey and in New York is unacceptable. Unacceptable. You've allowed white people, because that's what happened here, right? But there's like this connection between what Biden said and how we're reacting. You are behaving exactly how they expect us to. They find an issue with race to provoke you, and you don't know how to act. You act like a damn fool. You're going out there burning down your own neighborhoods. Okay, let's be clear here, people. Come on. The old cliche in the book, you break it, you buy it. And what do you think is going to happen? New York is already in debt, but what do you think is going to happen in the neighborhood where they were rioting and pillaging and destroying property? What do you think is going to happen? Your taxes are going to get higher. Your taxes are going to get higher. Why? Because now they have to rebuild what you destroyed. In a state that's already broke. In a state that just destroyed itself during this COVID-19 crisis. And you black folk decide, I'm going to destroy my own shit to make a point about George Floyd. Understand, we as conservatives are mad as hell with this guy. We think this man, this cop should be sent to prison. Prison. The most lenient sentence he should get is 25 years to life. That is the most lenient we should be. Because I'm a black American conservative and I'm mad as hell with this cop. I'm mad as hell. I'm a black woman who supports law enforcement. I have conversations with them when I'm on the street, going to get my coffee. You stay safe, officer. Thank you for your service, officer. This is what I say to cops. And then to see a video so violent of a cop not taking into consideration that he may actually be harming this man. He just lets him die under his own weight. And I've been supporting you, law enforcement, for God knows how long. For God knows how long. And you did this. You took advantage of Black Americans' trust when you did this. When you did it. However, everything lines up to the fact that justice will be done. Local law enforcement and local governments have gotten involved with this particular case to figure out why the hell this cop wasn't dealt with all the other complaints ago. 19 complaints ago, and you didn't think he should be dealt with. 10 complaints ago, 5 complaints ago, and you didn't think he should be dealt with. No, you're going to send in the Department of Justice. No, we're going to send in the FBI, and Trump did that. So everything is lining up for justice. Why the hell are you protesting? Excuse me, rioting, because that's what you're doing. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? It's not because you believe that there won't be justice, because all the facts lead to that conclusion, that there will be justice. So what the hell are you bitching for? You don't give a shit about the man who died. You don't. You're just out there because you want a free television. You want to steal a television on Target. You just want to be a part of the problem. Someone got your emotions rattled, and so you went out there and destroyed property. Understand, Black people, get your shit together. Get your shit together. This behavior is unacceptable. If I went out there and acted like this, my mother would have tracked me down from Pennsylvania, made it all the way to Jersey just to whoop my ass. And I'm 24 going on 25 years old. And if you think that my mother wouldn't have come found me to beat my ass for being as disobedient and reckless and violent as they were in those protests, those riots, you're seriously mistaken. You are seriously mistaken. Where the hell is your common sense? Your self-control. Where is it? Because you didn't exercise it not once. You're allowing other people to provoke a reaction out of you. That's what you're doing. You're giving them too much power over you. Again, we can't control the world around us, but we can control how we react to it. And our reaction to this tragedy is terrible. It's misinformed, it's violent, and it's all because of an emotional response to somebody else telling you the facts of a thing. What is wrong with you Black people? What is wrong? I mean, I don't even understand what's going on with you guys. Riots all over the damn place. You're setting shit on fire. You're burning down cop cars. You're burning down buildings. Firebombs. What is the matter with you? But you want to know why people don't want y'all in their own neighborhoods. You want to know why Shaq didn't want to build a low-income building in Newark. This is why. Why would I invest money in a community that's going to destroy it once they get their feelings hurt? Why would I do that? If I'm a rational business individual and I need a new building, or I want to get involved in real estate and build condos, why on God's name would I put it in a community that would burn shit down the second the media or some organization says get mad? Why? Why the hell would I do that? That is irrational, illogical. And it'd be insane for me, who have been through this, right? Because all the businesses in these areas, all of them should just leave the community, and it'd be Black America's fault. You should leave. And I'm saying that as a Black woman. No, get the hell out of Dodge. Get the hell out of there. And when they say, and when their actions, because words speak louder than actions. When their actions say that they are worthy of that kind of opportunity, that they are worthy of that kind of investment in their community, then you can go back. But they are ridiculous. It'll be insane for businesses to keep going back to those areas. And what is insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So why would investors keep doing the same thing over and over and over again if they know that their property is going to be destroyed? If the insurance rate for their business is going to go up? Because we don't know if 6 months down the line, a Black man gets killed by a cop, whether it's justified or not. They're going to just destroy shit. Why would I come into your community? Why would I give you this kind of opportunity? Why would I do that? As a business person, Black, white, or green, why would I do that? It doesn't make sense. It would be insanity for the business owner to stay there. All because y'all got angry. I'm mad as hell as a Black American conservative with this cop, but I can look at the evidence on that's already here. The video says it all. Why are you making this about race? Who gives a shit? It's the same thing with the Zimmerman case. Race does not matter here when the evidence points to a murder. Why do I need to think about racist intent when it's in front of me that he did it? We're not questioning that he killed the guy. You just want to question why he did it. Does it matter if the act of murder itself gets him convicted? Does it matter? This reminds me of all these questions that I get from liberals, specifically black liberals, right? When we're talking about Jesus Christ, not to compare the cop to Jesus. I'm just saying, when I was talking to another woman about Jesus, she said she made Jesus about being black and the melanin and all that stuff. And I said to her, if Jesus were green, would it change what he is? The Son of God who did all these wonders before man? The man who died for our sins. Does it matter what color he is? Does it change who he is? Does it change what he did? Does the color of Christ matter? Does it change anything of what he is? No, it does not. So why are you making it the argument? Why are you making this a conversation? Why the hell is it a debate? What does it matter to the fact of a thing? Right? The color of Jesus Christ does not matter to the fact of what he did, of who he was. The same way, whether this cop was racist or not, does not change the fact that on camera, he committed murder. What does it matter about his intent? What does it matter? And here you all are listening to Black Lives Matter and to the freaking media. Understand something. I'm over Black Lives Matter. There was this article, there was this statement that they made on their website. Right now, before I pull that up, let me tell you what I think about the freaking Black Lives Matter movement. When it first came out, I was liberal. And so when it first came out, I thought they were going to be not necessarily the Black Panthers. I just thought, okay, they're going to take a kind of Martin Luther King module and turn it into a non-for-profit. Let's see how that works. You know, getting educated people, teachers and lawyers to come together to actually bring forward a Black agenda that works, because Black caucus and Congress were ineffective. That's what I'm thinking about Black Lives Matter when I was a liberal. And now as a conservative, I see what they are. They're just a bunch of thugs, and that all of them are Black, right? But they're the Black Lives Matter movement. You know what they are? They're just a violent propaganda firm that tries to get Black people emotional. That is what they're here for, to get you mad so you go out there and wall the hell out. That's what they're here for. They're not here because they got your back. They're not here because they believe in what's best for Black America. If they actually believed in that crap and if they believed in the shit that they said, when Trump opened the doors and told them to come sit down before him so they can have a conversation on how to make America great again for Black people, they didn't want to show up. No representative of Black Lives Matter went. No celebrity like Colin Kaepernick or Jay-Z, not one of them went to the White House when it came to doing business for Black people. But when Obama was in the White House and you saw all these celebrities, they were partying, not focusing on Black America, not the agenda of Black America. And now that we're actually trying to get somewhere, we've made strides. The First Step Act, opportunity zones, talking about giving unlimited funding to all Black universities, talking about bringing trade back and how we can use policies he's already put in place to benefit certain communities. But you don't like Trump because he's the racist. Because that's the narrative that Black Lives Matter and all these media people do. This is what Black Lives Matter does. They take something, a fact of a thing, and they throw race on top of it. They make race the problem to get you emotional. That's Black Lives Matter. So we're going to pull up what they said on their website, because what was it? Okay, so we're going to pull that up for you guys real quick. We're just like, okay. Black Lives Matter of Greater New York aims to liberate our people at all costs. That's what that says. I'm going to just read a little bit more for you guys. We believe in building community through civic engagement, education, and mentorship. Our vision is to directly impact the policies that impact our conditions, focusing on criminal justice reform, basic public safety, fair and equal access to education, jobs, infrastructure. Through grassroots organizing and direct action, we will serve as a resounding voice for the underserved and disenfranchised. That's Black Lives Matter on their website. That's their statement. You know what? Reading that, you shouldn't have issues, shouldn't have problems, right? We shouldn't. But we know what they're about. They're full of it. Black Lives Matter is completely full of it. So is the media. So are the people in, as far as MSNBC and CNN, The View. Oh my gosh, The View. Now I knew they were going to do this race trading thing. They always do, right? They always make shit about race when it comes to, Sunny and Joy and Whoopi. But I always try to give the benefit of the doubt to Meghan McCain. I try so hard sometimes because maybe in the midst of chaos, she's going to be the only one filled with common sense. And she too chose to focus on, the crime that was committed by the cop. Right? We all know this. Everyone is in agreement that this cop should go to jail. I don't even know why we're debating about, issues in the justice system when it looks like justice will be done upon him. But when talking about the riots, right, they specifically call them protests. They're not protests, they're riots. Protests are what we did for the stand-down orders, right, for the stay-at-home orders. Riots is looting, destruction of property. And they didn't even want to talk about it. You chose to keep the focus on the murder, but you didn't want to talk about how you and your rest of your cronies in Black Lives Matter were perpetuating the problem to cause riots across the country. Across the freaking country. This is what we were seeing from all across the media. And people are buying it. You Black people are buying it. Just because you're Black does not mean you have to wild out just because it was a white on Black issue. Because it was a cop on a Black man issue. Who gives a shit about race? If a crime was committed, then justice will be done upon him, especially if we put the right type of pressure where it needs to be. But wilding out like this does not get us taken seriously. All the strides that we tried to make over course of how many decades? You knock us back because you wild the hell out. I say this all the time. There's that propaganda movie. What was it? What was it? Birth of a Nation. Excuse me. Birth of a Nation. Right? This was old movie. Way, way, way back. But it was deemed propaganda. And why was it deemed propaganda? Because it portrayed the KKK as the heroes and Black people as savages. That movie was deemed propaganda. You know what I think of it today, looking back on that film? I feel like that movie was telling the future. But in this case, the KKK are actually law enforcement and Black people are actually behaving like savages. Gift of foresight those writers had. It's a joke, so if you Black people who are offended, get a sense of humor. It was a joke. But it's funny because it's true. Y'all are acting the very way that was depicted in a propaganda film made by racists. And you're acting the way that they depicted you how many decades ago? That is a problem. That we are acting the very way that racists depicted us in narrative decades ago. Like those racist individuals who wrote the film had the gift of foresight that they knew this is how we would behave. There's an issue, we get violent. Someone gets shot, we get violent. The cops actually arrest a celebrity that does commit crimes, and we get violent. We get violent for stupid shit. And you want to know why people don't want you in their communities. You want to know why your shit is still beat up, why your community is still beat up. You want to know, well, it's because you don't have any control over yourselves. You let other people dictate your feelings. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in the next episode, right? The different individuals and other organizations. I know I talked a lot about Black Lives Matter, and I touched a little bit on the media, but they're the ones really who I think are stoking it. Who are stoking these problems. These riots are ridiculous. You Black people don't know how to act. You don't. You were not raised right. And your parents failed you epically. Because you know what? I had the banging mother in the whole freaking universe. Yes, I said it. The whole freaking universe. I had a father in the household. I was surrounded by family. Loads of strong women. Loads of actual men. Like I know what a man should be simply because of all the men in my family. I'm talking about a real man's man too. Not these little bitches running around as social justice warriors. In the skinny jeans and tatted all up, and you still think you're worthy enough to come home and meet my mother. Acting a damn fool, sagging pants, and you got a belt on. Women running around, hoeing out, being thoughts, and becoming gang affiliated. marrying people for freaking best credits and not giving crap, wanting to be a ride or die bitch. What is the matter with you black folk? What is the matter with you? It's because of your, excuse my language to any of you who are older than I am, but I'm about to be really, really blunt and forward, and it's not going to come out pretty. It's going to be very unladylike. But because of black people's fucked up character, because of your fucked up character, this is the shit that we're in. This is why our lives look, our community is the way that it is. It reflects our character. It is shitty. It is messed up. Why do you think that we're not getting the benefits that we should be getting? Why do you think that we're the benefit? And when I say benefits, people, I mean opportunity. I don't mean these handout social programs, because it's looking like there are more socialist-like programs in Black America than there are opportunities, like, you know, inspiring the entrepreneurial spirit, doing things like that. You didn't really have much of that until Trump came around. And I don't mean to talk about Trump that much, but it's like, good God. Good God, the man gave you a seat at the table, and not one of these black folks in Black Lives Matter or in in the groups in Hollywood went to the table except Kanye. And then you want to bitch and complain about, oh, he's racist. You want to bitch and moan about conservatives who point out that we've been used and abused by the Democrat Party, aka Democrat plantation, and you don't want to hear it. We're over talking to you. This is fucking ridiculous. How is it that we fight for your right to work, but then you go and you burn down the establishment of which you might get the job? You bitch and moan about no opportunity, but then a CVS comes into your neighborhood and you burn it down because you're mad. That was in Baltimore for another issue, for another black man who was killed by a cop. This is ridiculous. Get your act together. Y'all piss me the hell off. Y'all are getting on my damn nerves. And we're going to talk a little bit about why y'all are acting out the way that you are. Because, gosh, it's bad. It is bad. It's terrible. So understand, on the next episode, I'm going to be pointing out the different individuals and organizations. I know I went in about a little bit about Black Lives Matter, but there's more to go in depth about with them. Trust me. Who I feel are basically stoking the flames of a race war just so they can provoke us black people into an emotional response. That's the next episode. So just, you guys wait for that one. I can't wait to talk about these different individuals and the different outlets in the media and these different organizations. Because if you don't recognize what they're doing to you or who's doing it to you, then you're not going to be better. Right? If you don't know what the problem is, how can you expect to solve it? And that's why we're going to talk about it. The second episode, that's what we're going in depth about. So you can see when you're being deliberately provoked, when you can recognize that. The language, these organizations, that, you know, their statements and what's coming from the media. You need to know what to look for so you don't easily get emotional. Know when they're deliberately trying to provoke you. And for you to know what's happening, you need to know who's to blame, who's responsible for getting you this outraged. Once you know who the problem is, I guarantee you'll start to wake up, or at least, God, Lord, I hope you do. So again, on the next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. So my name is Asia Branch, your host of Mind Out, Mind Up, and get ready for the next episode because I'm going off on black people, and it's well deserved. You've earned my response, black people. So see you then. Bye-bye. Hello, folks. Welcome to part 3 of Just Because You Are Black. Okay, so in the last 2, I kind of went off on Black Lives Matter a whole lot. I know I had other things to say, but they were my biggest problem when it came to the riots because they're the ones kind of perpetuating the problem nationwide. I also talked to you guys about Biden and his statement that he made on that show, The Breakfast Club, I think is what it's called. All of those things play a huge role in our behavior lately, right? How Black Lives Matter activist movement and Joe Biden's comments, how I can see a correlation between the two, right? Biden's comment was basically saying that Black folk need to behave the way that he expects, and if they don't, then they're not actually Black, right? How does he expect Black people to behave? Well, the very thing that Black Lives Matter endorses: violence in Black America, destruction in Black America. This isn't about equal rights. This isn't about equal protection under the law. This isn't about that for Black Lives Matter. It's not. But I said that we were going to talk about these things, about how we're expected to be a certain way. Just because we're Black, we're expected to be criminals. We're expected to be thugs. We're expected to be trifling women. We're expected to be moms before we're 20, to be addicts. They expect that of us. But we don't naturally go out there and do that, right? We don't just every day go out there and behave this way. So how can I get you to behave this way? How can I get you to commit crime on a big scale? I have to provoke you. I have to get I have to get you fired up. I have to get you passionate about a problem so you go out there and behave the way I know you always behave. Whether it's voting or rioting. Because they're basically saying the same thing, right? They just want different actions. Biden wants, his expectancy of you being Black is you voting for him in the general election. That's him expecting you to behave the way that Black people behave, voting Democrat. That's what's expected. So when it comes to an election, that's what you have there. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, they are what I call race traders. And when I say race traders, I don't mean betraying the Black community. No, I mean they're making a profit by trading in race, identity politics. They make money from this. They make money. If there were no issues with Black America, there'd be no reason for them. But here's the thing, though. Everything that they say that they want for Black people, we've had since what? The 60s? Equal rights, equal protection under the law. Okay, so there were people who had prejudice, but there were laws to protect you from it. And if the white man didn't want to share with you in the 60s, we created our own businesses. So we made this shit work for us before. Why are we doing it now? Well, because Black people have become more trifling and uneducated, and that's the problem right there. We've disconnected ourselves from what we truly are. We have more rights now than we ever did in the history of Black people in this country. Yet they're here saying that we don't have that. No, y'all are uneducated. It's because you are unaware of your rights. You are unaware of your American privileges that you allow yourself to be this emotional, to react this way. If you were aware of your rights, and you believe that the justice system failed this Black man, then instead of rioting, why didn't you suit up and march down to the governor's office and say, what the hell will be done about this officer? Why didn't you do that? Hire an attorney, an investigator to investigate independently from the police force. So that way you can gather your own evidence. So that way you can protect your own people, your own kind. Why don't you do that? No, you go out there and you riot. That's a problem. How we're dealing with problems like this one specifically is all kinds of wrong. Now, everyone has the right to an opinion. You can be someone who supports the Black Lives Matter movement, but still be of sound and rational mind. Just because Black Lives Matter says go out there and protest, because what they mean is riot, just because they say that doesn't mean that you have to actually do that. Now, if you're someone who thinks that justice might not be done, then your job is to go figure out a way to make that happen legally. Legally. Live today, fight tomorrow. Don't get arrested and fight the system to get justice. This is what we're supposed to do. This is how Martin Luther King dealt with this shit. He didn't riot. He protested civilly by sitting down and by declaring, you can turn all the violence you can on me, but I will continue to fight for our civil liberties. And what did we get? We got the civil liberties that we wanted. LBJ came in and created, pity policies like the Great Society Act. That's neither here nor there right now, because regardless of the lack of opportunity in our communities, we could have done something. We were working on that, working on getting investors into our communities. And then you do this. You have the right to peacefully protest. You have that right, but you don't have the right to riot and to destroy other people's property. You don't have that right. You have to exercise your own judgment. Move in the best version of yourself. Okay, so you may not have been taught properly in your household by your parents, and that might not be, and that's not your fault as the child. As the child, it is not your fault. But when you become an adult, you must be aware of the consequences. I mean, really think about this, people. You destroyed your own communities in a state or in a city or in a community that's already broke, and now your taxes are going up more to fix what you broke. All because you did this wrong. You did this all kinds of wrong. You didn't do this the way that we should have done it, which was get a team of lawyers and a private investigator to look into this. Black Lives Matter is a non-for-profit organization that doesn't have those resources available. Are we supposed to believe that? I mean, people, really, I said it in my last episode, right? These were individuals who, what was it that they said? Donate to a bail fund. A bail fund. For the rioters, people who are destroying property. So you want us to donate money to criminals as opposed to putting that same money into a private investigation and an attorney to defend the civil interests of the people in that community who feel like this cop might not get justice, who feel like the cops are going to taint the investigation. Right now, I'm not one of those people who believe that, but if I'm someone who believes that this was a history of racism, then why didn't you just use that slush fund to hire a PI and an attorney to investigate whether or not this cop was a racist, to look into his social media, to look into his history and his background, to look into the complaints that he got, and then to take that evidence to the prosecution and say, no, this is evidence to prove that every assault that he had was in regards to race. Or maybe you can't prove on race, but you know this was murder, so maybe you have more footage to show more of the bad actions of all of these police officers. Why not put the money towards there? No, they're putting money behind people who are criminal so they can get back out of jail and continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. Pay attention to what these organizations are doing. Educate yourself, for crying out loud. I mean, this is a slush fund for criminals, not to further investigate the actions of the cop. Okay, so I'm a conservative who doesn't believe that this might be about that doesn't believe this to be about racism. I need more facts to draw my conclusions. So until that comes out, I'm going to assume that this wasn't racism. I'm not going to look further into this cop because the video shows that this is murder. I don't need intent or motive. My opening statement, play the video, jury go deliberate. The prosecution rests its case. That's how I'm winning. There is no fact to negate that the cop killed him. There's no evidence to suggest that he didn't murder him. But Black Lives Matter is choosing to support crimes in our community as opposed to investigating the cops, which is what you're saying you want. We're going about things the wrong way. So we need to change that. Our approach to a problem needs to change. We can't just start reacting emotionally and violently. Take a second, think about how we can solve the problem. First, don't go out there emotionally. Don't go out there reacting violently, because if you get your ass arrested, well, you were rioting. You committed a crime. You committed a crime. It's not like you went out there with your sign to protest them and you noticed that they were acting violent. You didn't go to cover. You didn't take your ass home. No, you started being a part of the problem. becoming violent. You saw that other people around you were being violent, so you made the wrong decision and became violent as well. You weren't trying to be the voice of reason that said, yo, guys, we got to get out of here. We got to go. There was no individual thinking there. Not one of you, not one said, nah, we got to go. They walling out. They rioting. I'm not with it. I ain't getting shot out here. I'm not going to jail. My mother will beat my ass if I get locked up for some rioting. Now I'm going home. Not one of you said that. You allowed a movement to provoke you emotionally so you would go out there and riot. But they didn't do anything to help the investigation along. So really think first before you start following the words of these organizations. This is how we can solve some of these problems that you're saying that we have with the justice system. Okay, so you believe that it's unfair and that it's rigged. Understand, perfection does not exist on this planet. The only thing that's perfect in this galaxy is the galaxy. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. There is no such thing as a perfect utopia on Earth. It will never be achieved. It is impossible to be achieved. Why? Because it's a for now place. Earth is a for now place. You end up somewhere when you die. The utopia is where you go when you're bestowed upon, when you're living it up with God, literally. Or you went to hell. I mean, those are your options after you die. If you're a Christian, you know what I'm talking about. If you're an atheist, okay, so you don't believe in that, but understand, but you are aware that there's no such thing as utopia, even if you're an atheist. You know this. Perfection is not something that you're going to achieve here, right? But we can get as close to it as possible if we handle it the right way. We are a civil society. A civil society. I remember saying all the time that the most intimidating thing a white person can see is a black man in a suit. Because a black man in the suit knows his rights, or at least you hope. Because today they could just look good and be criminals like Ghost or Lucius from Empire and might not know shit about their rights and just get in a lawyer to get them out of a crime that they've always committed. But a black man in a suit was very, very intimidating, especially a black man from like back in the day, like in the 60s. Oh my gosh. They were intimidating as a mofo. They stood their ground. They knew their rights. They knew they're going to be dealing with prejudice and racism. No matter what industry, no matter what town, they were dealing with it. But why were we able to achieve such strides for Black Americans? Why were we able to achieve such strides as women in this country? Why were we able to do that? It wasn't just about protesting, was it? No, it was about lawyers, and it was about debate, and it was about getting to Congress and getting to the president's ear and telling him what we need and what we want and how we can effectively do it without making the nation broke. That's how we got things done. That's how Martin Luther King did it. Peaceful protest and having Kennedy's ear. And my God, the progress since then. The only thing that's declined has been our behavior. And that's why our communities are suffering. You're allowing other people to dictate how you should act and how you should respond and how we should deal with the problems of our communities. And that's all kinds of wrong. Stop listening to them. That's one of the problems that I have. And I think that's one of the ways that we can actually do better in our communities. Actually, when people say organize, they should not be organizing to riot. You should be organizing on how to best effectively bring progress to your community. Now, if that means getting lawyers to sue the state, do so. Do so. Sue them. Don't let a rich person tell you how to deal with something, how to behave, how to act. Don't let them do that. If there's a problem that you see, the best way to go about it is to crowdfunding is a good way of getting the money that you need. Black Lives Matter figured that out. Number two, actually create an organization that's effective, that's not based on emotion. How about actually, when given the seat at the table, take it. Take it. All right, we have enough Black opinions in the media, right? We have enough Black opinions, not enough Black conservatives until, grassroots media became a thing, because now you have people like Brandon and you have people like Candace Owens, Officer Brandon Tatum, I mean. You have people like me. These are Black conservatives who are telling you maybe the best way of solving certain problems isn't about rioting. It isn't about protesting. It's about being really effective. Having the president's ear, Take that opportunity. Go tell them what we need. We need First Step Act. We need opportunity zones. We need more investment into our neighborhoods. You're putting money behind these universities. Put a university in this poor neighborhood. Encouraging trade, using those campuses that you're going to put in this new community to teach trade so that we can encourage the people in the community to get these trade skills and these programs, building businesses. Turning renters into homeowners by bringing this type of education and this trade skill programming back into the urban areas, back into the hood to make them productive. These are the things that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go this route through lawyers, legislators. Yes, it does require a little bit of PR. So yes, it does mean having someone to represent you in the media, but you need to have someone there who can talk about what good you're doing. This is how we fight against those problems, not rioting, not by behaving the way that's expected of us Black folk today. But when we say organize, we actually mean pulling together a team who can effectively get the job done. That means getting someone in the media to talk about what it is that we're trying to do. That means getting attorneys to sue individuals or industries or the state and the government itself if necessary, to get what's owed to us, to fight for what we feel is right. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you if these cases are going to be civil or criminal. All I know is if there's something that you feel is wrong, then go about it the right way. Okay, as a conservative, I don't believe racism is a problem in this day and age. But if you do, then go about it the right way. Stop letting these media people get you all rattled up and emotional and acting violent. Okay, so you believe racism is real, but don't let Black Lives Matter convince you to go out there and riot. It's okay to have your opinion. It's okay to believe what you believe. You can literally not like Trump and believe he's a racist. You can believe all those things, but don't go out there and riot because of it. This is the differences between these are the problems that I have with you Black folks, because a lot of you are liberal. A lot of you are liberal, and it's most of you Black, and it's you Black liberals that are out there rioting like this. The difference between the riots that have occurred over the past few days and the protests that have occurred from conservatives over the last month in regards to these stay-at-home orders is the peace. One was an actual peaceful protest. They're standing on the side of the roads. They're holding their signs up. They're not harassing anybody. Right? They're quoting the words of God, and they're talking about our liberty, and they're, encouraging people to honk their horns in support. That's a peaceful protest. What you did was move into Minneapolis, not even if you weren't from there. There were people driving into the state. You did that so you can be a part of the problem, so you can destroy property, so you can break shit, so you can show how bad Black people can behave. This is what y'all have done. And you need to be better. So one of the solutions is to stop allowing these people to get you so emotional. Because it's, you know what? Scratch that. Because you're allowed to feel how you feel. But your actions are the problem. If someone says to me, oh, you're an effed up N-word, I have every right to be angry at the person who said it. I have every right to cuss that person out. But if I go over there and I hit this person in the face, or I break their cell phone, I would have committed a crime just because he said something that got on my nerves. That's me taking it too far. I can't control that this individual called me an effed up N-word. I can't control that, but I can control how I react to it. I can do that. I can control my own reaction. I don't need Black Lives Matter to tell me that I should be upset about this case. I'm pissed for my own reasons. I don't need you to tell me that I should be angry. I don't need you to tell me why I should be angry. And I damn sure need you to tell me on how I should take my anger out on my own community. I damn sure don't do that. Don't need that. But you guys bought into it. Stop buying into that. It's not just that organization, that Satanist organization, the Black Lives Matter movement. It's people in the media. And then it's your own ignorance. You need to educate yourselves on what your rights are, because a lot of you do this rioting thing because you don't know a better, effective alternative. That's your problem. It's your ignorance. The fact that you don't know that there's an effective alternative to the rioting is why you do it anyway. Because if you were aware of all the other ways you could have held this cop accountable, or brought, what's the word I'm looking for, attention to what happened with George Floyd, using the laws on the books to do it, I don't know what else to tell you. You should have known that. You should have known that there are rights that you have, ways that you could have actually held this guy accountable. If you felt justice wasn't going to be done, there was an effective way to go about it. There was. People crowdfund all the time. Get the money you need to find an attorney, to get someone who can talk to these people in the media on your behalf, to let them know that no, we weren't sure that the justice system was going to do anything about it, so we paid for an attorney. These are your alternatives. Use the alternatives. It's because you don't know that this way is effective. You either don't know that it's effective, or you don't know about the tool at all. So I'm telling you, get a lawyer, sue people, hire a PI to do its own investigation, its own outside investigation of whatever it is that you feel the problem is. These are effective ways to get things done. Do that instead. Don't put your faith into these radical leftist movements. You do what you feel is best by you putting the money up, you trying to crowdfund. So the first things first, steps that you need to do as Black people moving forward. Number one, check your anger. Check it. Think first. Think first, then act, because now you're in a calm, rational state. Step two, question the media. Every time there's an issue about race. Is this true? Is this something that I need to look up? I need to look this up myself. Is this true? Should I really be getting angry about this? Number three, examine the alternative. So if someone in the media, if someone in Black Lives Matter or one of these radical activist movements say, go out and protest, before you do that, think about what else you can do. What is the alternative? Instead of going out there to riot, can I pay for a private investigator to look into it? Can we get a lawyer to sue this individual in civil court if the police won't hold this person accountable, if justice system won't hold them accountable? These are the things that you have to do. Those are the steps. You do that, and I guarantee you our actions will be different. We'll be a better community because of it, because we're following those steps first. All right, you Black people, this is what I need from you. This is what I need. Be a proud Black American, but don't be ghetto. Don't be criminals. Don't be violent. Don't listen to people who say jump. If you want to jump, then you jump because you want to, because you told yourself to, not because they did. You are an individual, and you can do whatever the hell you want as long as it's legal. As long as it's legal. Keep that part in there too. Because you Black people like to hear, oh, I can do whatever I want because I'm grown. As long as it's legal. Then you can do whatever the hell you want as long as it's legal. And that includes pushing back on whatever issue you feel we have as Black people. You feel that we don't have equal rights, then do it the right way. If given an opportunity to sit down with your local leadership or the President of the United States, take it. You don't need to like them. You just need results. That's all you got to do. So remember, I'm going to reiterate those 3 steps for you one more time, and then we're going to close. Number 1, check your anger. Don't become irrational. You can control your actions. You have every right to be angry. Don't act in it. That's it. Number 2, examine the media. Question the media. Question it. Don't always buy into it. Don't always believe it. Do your own research. Find out if what they're saying is accurate. If there's a reason to be upset with about the facts that they've laid out before you, examine, do your own research. Question it every time. You have every right to do so. because we're in a time where our media likes to lie to us. And number 3, always examine or look for an alternative. Always. Protesting, you're right, it doesn't always work. So what is something else that you have to do? Not rioting. Rioting doesn't do it. That's violent. But getting a lawyer, paying for your own PI to investigate whatever it is that you feel we have our issues with, doing your own studies. Find out the alternative, the legal alternative that will get people to take you seriously. Because I guarantee you, when people know that you have a lawyer, because I've said it in my own issues years ago, I remember I was having an issue with some individual, and I said to them, listen, I'm not the one. I'm not one of these hood girls who want to fight. I'm someone who believes in law enforcement. And you put your hands on me, I call the cops. I don't care if anybody calls me a bitch about it. You can call me a coward. You can call me a P word. Call me a bitch. I don't care. You're the one getting locked up, not me. I also am someone who has an attorney on call. I felt so proud of being able to say that because it made me dangerous to fuck with. I'm someone who believed in law enforcement. I'm someone who was ready to get a lawyer. That made me dangerous to mess with. So they stopped messing with me. Wow, imagine that. A Black American woman who believes in law enforcement and believes her rights can be protected and fought for against any individual who chooses to strip that away from me, whether it's the government or a person, a regular individual. You want to be taken seriously, do this the right way. That is how we need to do things in Black America. Stop wilding out. Stop being trifling. Stop being thugs. Stop being hoes. Stop using abortion like a form of birth control. Stop being what you are now. Stop being the prediction of racists from back in the day, from the writers of The Birth of a Nation. Because what you're doing is you're making them the honest ones here. That you're making how they pictured black people then. You're making it true. You're making their vision of Black people a reality. Cut it out. Cut it the hell out. Remember who we are. We're not savages. We're a civilized society who know that we have rights, and it's time to start executing them the way that Martin Luther King and the rest of them did. Remember, just because you're Black does not mean you have to behave the way that is expected of us by organizations like Black Lives Matter or individuals like Joe Biden and the rest of them. Just because T.I. and them say so does not mean you have to become a criminal. You do. If you feel like you have an issue with the system, you have an issue with anything in this country as a Black individual, you do it the right way. Now, we can disagree. We can agree or disagree. But the one thing that should never change, no matter what our differences are politically, you should be doing it the right way. Period. End of story. No more thuggish lifestyle. No more promiscuity. No more vulgarity. No more of this triflingness. Be better. Do better. Otherwise, all this stuff that you're saying that we deserve as a community, we won't ever get. Why? Because we don't deserve the best anymore. We don't. But we can. We totally can. But we have to earn it. And that's by conducting ourselves better. By being better. I want more from you, Black people. I need more from you, Black people. I cannot be. I know I'm not the only one. I know that there are a lot of Black conservatives in this community and in our culture. You have to fight for it. Encourage the best of your Black neighbors, of your friends. Encourage the best. Drown out those who encourage the worst. Some of us are actually working hard to make our communities better. We're working so hard. We're telling people what we need and what we want. And there are people who are actually going to the White House to fight for it. And then you do this. Stop. I am encouraging you to be better than what you are. To be better than what's expected of you. We're expected to be criminals and addicts and moms before we're 20, to be trifling and thugs and criminals and locked up before we're 21. And I mean, it's enough. It is enough. I don't care what you believe in. If you're a liberal or a Democrat, I don't care. I used to say this all the time. I'm just gonna leave you guys on this note. My name is Asia Branch, and I am your host of Speak On. My name is Asia Branch, and I am your host of Speak On It. I will speak with all of you guys soon. You guys have a good one. And yeah, we'll talk soon.